Hi everyone, this is what happened to me when I got government housing part 31. So on the 23rd of the 8th, 2016, the respondent was continuing to bang on my ceiling as I said in the last video, and the noise was getting louder. I couldn't work out what he was doing, but it got to the point where I was scared that he was doing structural damage to the block. The other thing I wondered was that if he was constantly banging on his floor, there must have been marks on it that people would have seen, but no one stopped him from doing it, and it just kept continuing. The respondent would also tail me in his vehicle as I walked down the street, and I had to change streets, and sometimes it would take me ages to get home, just from a simple walk. On the 26th of the 8th, 2016, I moved my mattress into the lounge room so I could sleep closer to my daughter. I wanted to be near her if she needed comfort, and every day I hoped that my court hearing for compensation would come up so we could go on holiday, but it didn't. I was told that VOCAT hearings, which is the place where you go to get compensation in Victoria, Australia, I was told that VOCAT hearings take about 6 weeks to finalise. But by the end of everything that I'm going to tell you, I had waited 21 months since my initial application was made. So I was never told what was causing the delay, but obviously there was someone or something delaying my court hearing. I had waited so long for my application to be heard, and in the meantime, there had been so many other incidents. So I had to keep adding to my original application. I wanted to have my application for compensation heard because I thought the judge would compel the police to charge the respondent after seeing my evidence. But as we know, that didn't happen. The same things were happening every day, so I won't go through the dates of these one by one. I want to try to continue with the other incidents so I can get to the final court hearing and move on to other issues that I need to tell people about. So now we're up to another major incident which occurred on the 19th of the 9th, 2016. During the day, I told my daughter that she could play in our courtyard, but I quickly regretted it because she came running inside and said that the respondent had opened his window and was looking down into our yard. Obviously, I didn't know what he was doing or why he took an interest in us. But he had dumped buckets of water on me before, so I just assumed that it was something like that. I felt like he was watching me all the time. I would stay out of the backyard and stay inside for most of the day, and if I went out for even a moment, he seemed to pounce on me out of nowhere. I couldn't work out how he knew where I was, but he seemed to know where I was all the time. I took a photo of the respondent's window, and when I got back inside, he started banging on our ceiling again. So I put on a movie to drown out the noise. And then at approximately 1:25 p.m., I heard a loud bang against our side door. I looked at my side door and I found that there was a hole in it which looked like a bullet hole. Looking at the mark that was made and the fact that it went through the security grill and the fact that the metal is damaged, I believe that it was a metal pellet. So, though a metal pellet is otherwise known as a bullet, and I believe that the only thing that can fire a bullet is a gun. So, and I don't know what type of gun would have been used. Obviously, I have no experience with that, but I don't know of anything that could leave that, anything other than a gun that could leave that sort of mark. So after the loud bang, the respondent ran downstairs and drove off in his van. I was able to take a photo of the hole in the security grill, and I looked around for a bullet, but I couldn't find anything. I didn't ring the police because I didn't want to be yelled at, and all I wanted was to be safe and comfort my daughter, and believe it or not, I wanted to comfort myself, which seems to have been forgotten in all of this. I couldn't do anything else apart from basically look after myself and look after my daughter, because I was too scared. By the 21st of the 9th, 2016, I was so exhausted that I could hardly do any of my housework. I had a large pile of washing on my lounge room floor that I wanted to take to the laundrette, but getting out of my unit was too hard. I couldn't sleep because of the respondent banging on my ceiling, and I felt sick looking at the rubbish in my side yard. I felt like the rubbish was affecting me physically, even though I wasn't touching it. I started to buy alcohol when I could afford it, and I ordered a box of alcohol from Crisco to make sure that I had a supply of it when I couldn't afford anything else. In hindsight, alcohol would never have been a priority, but all I wanted was some relief from the stress of what was happening to me. If I had got compensation, I would have gone on holiday and I wouldn't have needed alcohol. Getting away from the respondent was the only thing that would alleviate my problems, and I just couldn't afford to do it. The respondent kept banging on my ceiling and throwing rocks at my side door. I don't know if there were any more shots fired at me or at my side window. By the 3rd of the 10th, 2016, I was spending most of my days in bed while my daughter was at school. On the few occasions that I was seen by a doctor, I was diagnosed with having low iron, which was probably because of my poverty. The fact that I had to spend money on producing evidence for court meant that I wasn't left with much money to buy healthy food, and that showed up in my blood tests as an iron deficiency. The cost of going to Office Works or anywhere else and doing the printing or buying the ink for myself was very high, and that was just basically impoverishing me. I felt like my days were being wasted, and I was reduced to living like an animal. But I was doing everything I could to help myself, and nothing was changing. I clung on to the idea that if I held on to my evidence, I could go to court and prove what was happening to get compensation and finally get away from the respondent. I thought that if I got compensation for everything that happened, I wouldn't buy a washing machine or anything else. I would just go on holiday so I could sleep and make my daughter happy and relax. I knew that I needed other things, but all I wanted was to get away.